algebraic geometry, it's more algebraic topology, but there are some people in the audience also interested in algebraic topology, so I wanted to advertise also topological data analysis, which comes in the same circle of ideas. So the idea here is that many data sets in nature come with geometric structure. So spatial data might be geometric structure, cyclicity might be a geometric structure, but you might also have some hidden structure. That's maybe the most interesting, when you actually don't have geometric structure to start with, but your data actually reveals some kind of hidden structure. And the method is called persistent homology. This was developed now some 15, 20 years ago, but many refinements have been discovered. But this is basically the method to find the algebraic shadow of geometric structure. So this is the picture they always show you, and this is clearly a cheating, of course, because this is not random data. It's extremely structured data that happens to lie on a torus. So discovering this torus is maybe not so amazing, although it's not completely trivial. So that you have to do something to this point set, because you see it's not really a continuous curve. It is a discrete set of points. And you would like to say that this discrete set of points lies on an interesting topology. How you say this, what's the language, what are the methods, is still somewhat interesting. But this is clearly not real data. But this is real data. So real data can also have similar kind of structure. So you could have, this is actual real data. This is a point set plotted in 3 space coming out of a medical application in this case, where there is still clearly some structure. So some clustering, but not just clustering, but also you see this kind of geometric structure similar to a torus emerging. And then the methods of topological data analysis would allow you to, well, this is already, of course, treated, so there is some heat map, so the points have been given some kind of color, and also some of the connections are drawn in, so this is not the raw data set anymore. But topological data analysis will allow you to build structured data sets like this with some kind of interesting function on it, or some kind of interesting structure, or interesting connections built into it. And last but not least, that sort of approach also allows you to visualize data sets quite effectively. Of course, once again, you might want to plot them on the plane or in 3 space, or maybe try and plot them in some approximation of 4 dimensions. After that, it becomes difficult for the mind to process. But if you get such cool pictures, then it allows the brain to kind of process the data and get some kind of interesting conclusions. So this is, in this case, actually, if you actually look at where the data comes from, sorry, this is not very visible, there are things like B and T cells and NK cells written here, and parasites. So this is some kind of medical image. And the point is that this is an evolution process. This is a temporary process. And what they discovered is that actually this is patient data. And patients actually move around this cycle in the way that the picture suggests. So there is some kind of evolution of whatever disease this is trying to represent, where you can actually visualize the data and understand the data, and actually the analysis reveals some hidden geometric structure, and actually the cyclicity helps identify different stages of the disease and even design treatment. So of course this is a very idealized picture, and life is not always that simple, but it is a cool application of the same kind of idea, where you take some kind of geometric structure, try and build some kind of algebra from it using persistent homology, and then make some deductions. And so the last story I want to tell you is art. So I like art very much. So this thing is hanging outside my department. So this is called dodecahedral star. This was designed by my colleague and expert in singularity theory, Herwig Hauser, maybe known to some of you. This is outside our building. So I go past this thing every day. And it is a 3D representation of a certain algebraic surface with 20 so-called A2 singularities. So each of these singular points is a very, very specific singularity called an A2 singularity, and it has 20 of them arranged in at the vertices of a dodecahedron. So it's a very beautiful structure which brings together ideas of Greek geometry, so the dodecahedron was known to Euclid, but then it's kind of merged with this very much more modern idea of these singular surfaces, and I think this is pretty cool. So I showed this to my children when we moved to Vienna a few years ago. So the poor kids, they grew up at the wrong time, so they said, a virus. So, of course, poor kids were growing up during COVID, so they saw these pictures on the TV all the time, and so they call it a virus. So I don't show it to them anymore because it brings out their PTSD. But I think this is very nice. So I think that's it. So I've showed you some examples of how applied algebra and geometry is really quite a rich field. So there's topology of data, there is architecture, there is systems biology, kinematics, and there are other examples, cryptography. The uniting theme is that this uses geometric objects, but there are also algebraic approaches to study these geometric objects. So it's a very rich subject. Okay, thank you very much.